Hello everyone, I'm João Oliveira, a PhD student at Universidade Estadual de Campinas, Unicamp, and the title of this work is Integrating Reservoir Simulation Models and 4D Seismic Data for Pressure Calibration. This study was carried out with Célio, Massoud, and my supervisor, Professor Alessandro. Time-lapse or 4D seismic can be a valuable tool in reservoir management and monitoring, especially when considering data simulation history matching using 4D seismic data. Performing seismic data simulation requires the integration of different data types. Figure 1 illustrates the different levels of integration for seismic and simulation data in different domains. The change of domains may require forward or inverse modeling. A common domain to perform this integration for data simulation history matching workflows is the elastic domain, a middle term between the seismic and simulation domains. From simulation model perspective, it's necessary a forward modeling, known as petroelastic modeling, or PEN, to bring reservoir simulation outputs to the seismic domains or elastic attributes. However, the PEN presents relevant modeling uncertainties. A challenging aspect in this modeling is the dry rock framework, and the most uncertain aspect within this framework is the effective pressure sensitivity. So, this is what brings us to the motivation of this study. During our investigations, we identified a significant mismatch between observed and model impedance difference maps. Figure 2 illustrates it. As we can see, the model maps show an intense blue that's not present in the real 4D seismic maps. This feature covers the entire model and is more pronounced on the northeast portion of the reservoir. We could also identify that this intense blue is related to the pressure sensitivity in the dry rock framework. Although we know where the problem is, we also wanted to know why this is happening. So, the possible causes may be 1. A mismatch in the simulation models, 2. An uncertain petroelastic model, or 3. For the seismic data uncertainty. But in this case, we have some confidence about the 4D seismic data, the real 4D seismic data. Thus, the focus was on calibrating the simulation models and the petroelastic model. Thus, our objective was to propose a workflow to deal with the intense pressure-related mismatching considering both uncertainties from the simulation models and the PEN. Figure 3 illustrates some initial steps that must be taken for the methodology. As mentioned, we need to integrate seismic and simulation data. In this study, we do this integration in the elastic domain, where the comparison is performed using impedance difference maps. From the seismic data, it's required to perform a 4D seismic inversion, which in this case was performed by Tainá, a researcher in the Unison group. And from the simulation, we performed a petroelastic modeling to estimate the 4D elastic responses of the simulations. After doing that, we go to our main steps of the methodology, illustrated in the figure 4, where we need to verify the 4D seismic maps, the observed and model, and check if there is a bias related to the pressure. In the case the bias is verified, we should follow 4 steps. First, check the bottom hole pressure, or BHP, mismatching between the ensemble response and the history data. Second, calibrate the simulation models to reduce the pressure bias in bottom hole pressure if necessary. Third, verify the 4D seismic matching again if the BHP responses are now calibrated. And fourth, if the bias persists, adjust the PEN. Thus, the main idea is to first check the reliability of the simulation models with the history data. If the bias persists, even with more reliable simulation response, we should check the PEN calibration. The methodology was applied to the Tupyfield pilot area, as illustrated in Figure 5, where we used a prior ensemble of 200 models, of the set 1 of 2P that was generated in Unisym group by Manuel, another researcher in Unisym. The grid dimensions of the simulations are 67 by 77 by 39 in X, Y, and Z, and compositional modeling was used for the simulations. Also, some relevant aspects to highlight related to P field are that it is a deep water pre-salt carbonate reservoir where we observe small impedance variations, around 1%. For comparison with other reservoirs, carbonate or sandstone reservoirs, we could expect variations values higher than 2 or 5%. Other aspect is that we have enhanced oil recovery methods with WAG and gas disposal wells, and that there is a relevant amount of CO2 in this field. Following the methodology workflow, we visualized that there is indeed a bias in the BHP curves of the ensemble in comparison to the history data. This can be verified in the yellow lines of figure 7 that shows the BHP curves of the well P10 located at the northeast portion of the reservoir in the zone with the pronounced blue. The curves are consistently below the history data as we can see here in figure 7. To deal with this, we noted that there is a thin zone with high production rates along the northeast portion of the reservoir. This may be the main reason for the considerable depletion that's related to the intense blue in the impedance maps. We also noted that there is an uncertainty in the definition of the thin reservoir zone in the simulation models. As to define the simulation grids, it's common to use interpreted seismic horizons as reference. And when the reservoir becomes thinner, the seismic resolution is also affected, and the interpretation of such zone may turn out to be more uncertain. This can be seen in figure 6, where we compare a seismic section considering how the seismic data is presented, the interpreted horizons, and the active cells of the reservoir simulation model. The location of this section indicated in figure 6D. Considering this, we noted that it would be appropriate to also consider this uncertainty of the seismic interpretation into the simulation model. Thus, Célio proposed that we could apply a volume modification or VOMOD in specific regions of the reservoir to encompass this uncertainty into the simulation models. VOMOD multipliers were estimated through initial data simulation using only well production data, and this was performed by Célio. Also, a range for these multipliers was previously assessed to guarantee a reasonable range of values. VOMOD had a positive impact in reducing the bias in the BHP curves. The gray lines in figure 7 illustrate this, while the blue lines represent the curves for the post-data simulation models with VOMOD. The distribution of the blue curves is better aligned with the history data as we could expect for a data simulation result. Furthermore, the impact of VOMOD is not only observed in the BHP curves, but also in the impedance difference maps. Figure 9 illustrates it. In Figure 9, we have the impedance difference map for observed data in A, the mean map for the entire prior ensemble in B, and the mean map for the entire prior ensemble with VOMOD in C. For VOMOD, there is a reduction of blue over the reservoir, but as we can see, the blue bias on the northeast portion was still intense and persistent when compared to the observed data. So we moved on to the pain calibration investigation. That's the fourth step of the methodology. The aspect that contributed the most to the bias reduction in pain was the Biot coefficient modification. Biot coefficient is related to how much of the applied stress in a porous material is transferred to the fluid within the pores. In many pain applications, it is taken as a constant value and as 1. But this may not be the most appropriate approximation for all cases. Based on measurements by Moschbach and collaborators of the Biot coefficient for the Barra Velha formation, which is one of the most important formations in the Tupi field, we used a different value for the Biot coefficient in our petroelastic model. This really helped reduce the blue pressure-related bias in our results. Figure 9D provides a qualitative comparison of the maps where we can see that the cumulative modifications from VOMOD plus BO could greatly reduce the bias in the map. The once pronounced blue in the northeast portion is now constrained in a range of magnitudes lower than the main anomalies around the wells. The result also shows a higher resemblance to the observed map in Figure 9a. Furthermore, a quantitative comparison is provided in Figure 8, where box plots show the root mean square error between the observed seismic map and each ensemble model map. The cumulative modifications result in a consistent decrease in the error between both maps. The combined result, VOMOD plus BO, yields the smallest errors and also reduced dispersion. Okay, so what are the key outcomes of this study? We can list three main aspects. First, the proposed procedure integrates seismic data and simulation models with two-way benefits, improving the estimation of the reservoir pressure from simulation models and improving the calibration of the pressure sensitivity of the pen. Second, we have here a real case application, a problem addressed for a challenged Brazilian pre-salt field. And third, we may have a possible bias reduction for a further run of data simulation procedures using seismic data. Without calibrate the simulation models and pen, the large difference between observed and model data could lead to improper model updates during the data simulation with 4D seismic data. Lastly, we would like to thank all the sponsors and partners of Unisim, especially Shell and Energy Simulation. And thank you all for your attention.